Hello, hello. How's everyone doing this evening? Hoping everyone is doing well. We just had a major downpour here, and I was a little bit concerned we may lose some power, but it seems like we're all good. So I think we're ready to get started. How are you, Amanda?
I'm unmuted now. I'm fantastic. I think it's rained every day here for like 2 weeks. So today it's not. So it's nice.
Well, that's good. We need some rain here in Pennsylvania. It is dry, 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 dry. So I will take this rain, even though it could slow down a tad bit. But yeah, so it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hoping all is well.
All is good. Texas legislative session is wrapping up, and that's not so wonderful, but
I saw that.
It is what it is. So
yeah, keep advocating, keep fighting the good fight for sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So first of all, we want to just welcome everyone that is tuning in live, and also when you join us on the recorded sessions as well. So definitely welcome. We're excited that you're here with us, and we're excited to be here with you as well. So my name is Heather Kreider, and I am the co-founder of Hempfield Apothecary and Hempfield Botanicals. And Amanda is our amazing educator, our cannabis educator. So, Amanda, do you want to just really briefly just fill everybody in case they haven't?
Yeah, I guess I'll give a little brief in case you're new. So, my name is Amanda. I am a licensed medical esthetician. I am a cannabis educator. I'm also an evolving herbalist, and I'm a patient, a cannabis patient, and truly believe in the power of plant medicine. I think that it is the medicine and not the alternative. So I came into being a cannabis educator after I was a patient and discovering how it helped me. I really wanted to sort of spread the word and help people understand how it works in your body and how they can get involved in reforming laws, both here in my state, I'm in Texas, and then also federally. So that's me.
That's wonderful. We're excited to have you here. And just a little brief introduction about myself. Again, my name is Heather Kreider, the co-owner and founder of Hempfield Botanicals and Hempfield Apothecary, cannabis advocate, cannabis patient as well. I am a medical card holder here in the state of Pennsylvania. So I not only use my registered nurse training and experience with different patients, I also am incorporating that knowledge into my cannabis education as well. So it's a passion of mine. I love it. I've seen it work wonderfully in me and many, many, many other people. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here, and let's get started. So Amanda, we're going to be talking about an amazing topic tonight, cannabis and so let's get started. Oh goodness, my oh my.
So anybody that knows me well and personally wouldn't be surprised to hear this part, but if you have small children within earshot, you might want to watch this at a later time. So but we're all grown-ups, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about a little bit about the endocannabinoid system. Just a super refresher. You have receptors throughout your entire body. The two areas that we want to discuss mostly today would be your brain and your genitals. So how can cannabis help us with libido and sex and mood and romance and getting busy?
Mm-hmm.
So your human sexual response, it doesn't matter what your gender is. Your human sexual response is divided into these 4 phases. So you have desire, arousal, orgasm, and resolution, or sometimes resolution is like the cuddling phase, right? So your endogenous cannabinoid system is a regulator of like sexual motivation and desire, the same way that it's a regulator of motivation and desire in other ways outside of the bedroom. It's also a regulator of arousal and orgasm, emotional regulation, and your reproductive cycle and the hormones that go along with that. So it can, your endogenous cannabinoid system plays a really key role in balancing your hormone levels. So clearly all of those things would link. So knowing, because everyone probably knows by now and is tired of me beating this dead horse, but your endogenous cannabinoid system has a job to create homeostasis and balance in your body, and it really regulates a lot of things in your body. So you have peripherally, you have cannabinoid receptors found in your orgasms that are, your organs that are responsible for producing sex hormones like the adrenals, which provide a source of androgen, and your ovaries, which provide a source of estrogen, progesterone, and androgen. So these receptors are present there. So I want to talk a little bit about an endogenous cannabinoid, which is something found inside your body, not in the plant. And that's a couple of them actually, but the first one is anandamide. So anandamide is what is commonly considered the bliss molecule. So this is almost like, in this scenario, is like the cuddle chemical or the hug hormone and the love hormone. It's what oxytocin levels in your brain are actually increased. They increase after orgasm, during sex, and after orgasm. Oxytocin levels increase in anandamide, which helps to assist with libido and orgasm. So if you're feeling connected to someone socially, romantically, whether that is in the bedroom or maybe you're holding a baby or you just met a great best friend, then your oxytocin levels are raised. The oxytocin levels being raised affect the anandamide. So something else that raises your anandamide are phytocannabinoids, plants from cannabis. So the word anandamide, I think it's interesting if you want to look up like Raphael Mechoulam, and there's a great, used to be on YouTube, called The Scientist, and there's a lot of really interesting information about anandamide, and also 2-AG, which is another endogenous cannabinoid. So with anandamide having this ability to improve your mood and give you like an increased confidence and happiness and optimism, you have a production after an orgasm of anandamide and also of 2-AG. So 2-AG is another endogenous cannabinoid, but 2-AG, which is naturally raised more so than anandamide during orgasm, is boosted by CBD. So CBD boosts your 2-AG levels. So it's almost like that one cannabinoid, and possibly other cannabinoids do that too, but this is just what the research we have now. So CBD is boosting those 2-AG levels. It's almost like giving you a head start on the chemicals that are going to be produced when you reach orgasm. That make a little sense. So other cannabinoids that have been studied and linked to libido and sex, THC. So THC is, as you know, anyone who has experienced tachycardia or rapid heart rate with tetrahydrocannabinol knows that it's a vasodilator. So it causes the blood to course through your veins and course through your genitals, both orally and topically. So we'll get to that in a minute. But it dilates, THC dilates those capillaries and increases the blood flow in really just the smallest vessels of our body. So this like supercharged microcirculation will magnify sensitivity and sensation. So yes, it can do that in both biological sexes. So it can do that in all genitals, but there is a naturally a greater blood flow and a greater concentration of cannabinoids in the vulva and the vagina and the fallopian tubes and the ovaries and the uterus. So there's a greater concentration of that. But because THC is a vasodilator, it has often been used in the treatment of erectile dysfunction. because you're increasing the circulation. So what other cannabinoids? CBD, we just talked about CBD. So cannabidiol is really good at doing some things we all know. It blocks pain and inflammation, and it's really good for anxiety and mood. Well, I don't know about you, but if I'm in pain because of inflammation, or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm not in a great mood, I'm not feeling romantic at all. So CBD assists in that way. CBG is another cannabinoid that could help in this romance department. CBG can treat mood as well. So it's also effective in treating mood in a slightly different way. It eliminates anxiety a little better, but it without having so much effect on the inflammation. But in combination, of course, all our compounds and our cannabinoids are more powerful. THV is another one because it also reduces anxiety and lifts your mood. All of them will contribute to pain because they're all anti-inflammatory. And then let's not forget terpenes, because clearly we know terpenes have a great effect and assist on things like pain and mood and inflammation. So those would be a boost for this as well. You have you have one little slide for me, the one that has the 1 and the 2 on it.
Yep.
I'm looking at it on my other screen here. So I saw this study, I saw it a while back, and then I went to go look for it. So for this, so I picked this, it was 1,400 people were surveyed. And these 1,400 people were not cannabis users per se. They were chosen at random. They were adults. So it's not like we asked 1,400 already cannabis users. So 1,400 cannabis users, do you use cannabis to enhance your sex life? 74%. That's a lot. That is amazing. It really is. But think about this. Think about how many people are taking CBD, hemp-derived CBD, for one issue or another. And also it's helped their sex life, not because it's an aphrodisiac. That's not what I'm saying. Also, that being an herbalist, even that term aphrodisiac kind of makes me a little reluctant to use that here. But yeah, I mean, I don't like the smell of certain plants that are considered aphrodisiacs. So that couldn't be an aphrodisiac for me, right? Yep. So 74%. So you got to think it's not just, is everybody smoking weed before they're going in the bedroom? No, it would be any form. It could be lube. It could be that they used a topical pain ointment or salve for their knee. And now that their knee is not hurting, they're able to be romantic. So I thought that was interesting. And then how often do you use it was pretty interesting to me. I thought the average was just slightly below half. They use it about half the time. Amazing. And then why? So it's interesting to me that this list, me being a female, a heterosexual female, okay. It's interesting to me that the number one answer is to achieve orgasm. Because I kind of thought, well, what were the genders of these people surveyed? Right. But if you go down to a couple, of course, increased libido is wonderful for everyone, but to connect with my partner. So the reason that I think that's interesting, because let's get outside of the bedroom for a second and just think about how often, if anybody who has experienced cannabis in a social setting, or in an intimate social setting, like a large one, or even like just a small gathering, how much it sort of increases your ability to focus on yourself, your emotions, be more in touch and concentrate, and also be really maybe create a little more empathy or connection. Yeah. So if you've experienced how it just helps you, often helps people have these better interpersonal connections, then it's clear why it would help in this circumstance too. So I really like this. Obviously the rest are going to be pain, inflammation, hormonal fluctuations, erectile dysfunction, things we already discussed. So I like that little survey. I thought it had maybe like something for everyone.
Yeah,
kind of. So CB1 receptors in your body, you know, we have most of our research on CB1 and CB2 receptors. And CB1 receptor is also a presynaptic receptor that helps results in an inhibition of like the neurotransmitters. So in other words, it plays a role to activate and regulate neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine, etc. So if your CB1 receptors are engaged somehow with cannabinoids and regulated, then that can play a role in those neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters like dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, those obviously play a key role in sexual function, right? Because now we're back to when you're depressed, you're probably not in the mood. So, or even just if you're in a bad mood. So it also, one thing I think is really interesting about the neurotransmitters and cannabis is cannabis often does decrease inhibitions. So if you decrease inhibitions, then you're raising confidence. And I think that is a key thing to remember on this topic when we talk about studies and research, because if they're going to study and research cannabinoids and its effect on humans or on animals, a lot of the work is done on animals. They can't really do this research on animals because animals don't really have self-confidence issues and inhibitions when it comes to procreation.
Yeah,
humans do. So those studies have to be on humans. However, obviously we have loads and loads of anecdotal evidence, right? Because when you just have conversations like you and I are having, or conversations with your friends, and you sort of say, hey, you know, I heard that cannabis can help with sex. Let me see how it could help me, and what approach am I going to take as far as like your method of administration. Those neurotransmitters, back to the neurotransmitters, because as soon as I start talking about inhibition, I think, well, how are they going to test that on animals? Because animals are just, they don't care. They don't have inhibition.
They have one mission.
Procreate. I'm here for it.
One mission.
So, so these neurotransmitters that we talked about, dopamine, epinephrine, serotonin, they also they interact with your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, your prolactin, oxytocin, that oxytocin that's often released after your orgasm or during an orgasm. A lot of the research and even the anecdotal research that's out there is surrounding females. There is a lot of reasons for that, but most of it has to do with the concentration of endogenous cannabinoids in both the brain and in their sexual organs. So I think that, this is such a fun topic, right? But it really does come down to, your body, and what helps you feel like a better person. If you feel more confident, less inhibitions, less anxiety, less mood, less pain, less inflammation, then that has sort of taken a lot of the battle away from libido issues. Within our female reproductive organs, there's so many cannabinoid receptors that are found in all the parts: uterus, fallopian tubes, ovaries, vagina, vulva, clitoris. And the rise and fall of our hormones is a huge fluctuation, right? We have lots more hormones in lots more fluctuations, and oftentimes in far less predictable ways than as a biological male. So as your endocannabinoid levels rise and fall, it's I mean, as your hormone levels rise and fall, so do your endogenous
Mhm.
cannabinoid levels rise and fall. So, for example, like at the beginning of your menstrual cycle, that bliss molecule, anandamide, drops, or it starts to increase and then it drops when you hit ovulation. So, if my anandamide levels are low, and I'm craving, I have different cravings. I feel imbalanced, right? I just
Mhm.
feel overall imbalanced. So like the consequence of those dips in estrogen and the dips in anandamide, um, it's a pretty familiar pattern for some of us. And during menstruation, those levels of anandamide drop off. And so that sort of classic stereotypical, joke about the need for chocolate during your menstrual cycle, there may be some truth in that. It's related to the dip in anandamide, the bliss molecule.
Mhm.
And we know cannabis can raise the levels of anandamide, or it actually it doesn't just raise them, it has an effect on some other enzymes that modulate it, but ultimately it's raised. So I mean, that's such a strong, I think, evidence to how if we're already craving chocolate, which a lot of us will admit that that's absolutely true, then our anandamide is down. And if our anandamide is down, yeah, chocolate might do it, but what about cannabis?
Yep.
So what did I not? Oh, lube.
Mhm.
So that's a real common question, I think. So first of all, I will say there's a lot of recipes on the internet about lube. And if you're going to try one yourself or you're going to purchase one, just don't ever forget that oils can affect the structure of a condom. Okay, so that's important to know.
Yes.
But there's a lot of anecdotal evidence, and I've talked to a lot of women that will agree that the direct application of cannabinoids through like an infused lubricant seems to increase the sensitivity, and it would, because it's increasing blood flow.
Mhm.
So if I'm increasing blood flow, then thus I'm increasing arousal and even possibly the intensity of an orgasm. So I think lubes are probably anyone who, lots of people are reluctant to use cannabis internally. And so they often will use topical pain for pain. Using lube might be a better option for some people than some type of oral or smoking. The one thing that also, we didn't mention the hormone cortisol, which is obviously a huge part of our world today with
Mhm.
stress management. So cortisol will kill your libido. It just kills it. It just zaps it. So that's a big reason why like menopausal women will have high levels of cortisol, because estrogen, they're losing estrogen, and estrogen is what balances cortisol. So by reducing that cortisol level, you're activating that parasympathetic nervous system, and you can be a little more relaxed. So CBD reduces cortisol. We
Yeah.
know that. Probably other cannabinoids do. Probably other terpenes do.
Mhm.
We just go off of like the research
Yep.
that we have. So it's, you want to throw up that other slide? I forgot about that
Mhm.
one,
You
because that
got it.
one's kind of, I think this one's a little bit more to each his own. It's a little more subjective. So there was some studies that suggested that a low to moderate dose is far better to increase things like libido and communication with your partner. Anybody who's ever been far too stoned knows that a higher dose. Yeah, anybody that knows if you can't communicate, then you know what your dose limit is.
Mm.
But body awareness, but not just body awareness, but comfort within your own skin. So sexual endurance, sensitivity to touch because of that blood flow, orgasm intensity, same thing, blood flow related. And then emotional bonding because of the oxytocin. So oxytocin is created when you have an orgasm, And then when you have an orgasm, you have also produced your own 2-AG, which makes you feel, both of those make you feel more connected. And it doesn't necessarily have to be connected in a, I'm in love with you kind of way, but connected in a way that you just shared some experience, right?
Yep.
My screen just went off. I'm really doing a good job keeping this PG-13.
You are doing a great job.
I'm
sure you have
impressed with.
Often think for
Yeah. What's a better word for that? Okay, arousal. So, and the greater endurance because of the blood flow, and the focus, the concentration. You're less distracted. You're less stressed, so you're less rushed. Higher sensitivity to touch, longer. We got all that. So, high dose. So with too high of a dose, yes, of course, you can decrease your sex drive. Your insightfulness, isn't that a nice word to say?
So nice.
You're not even, where are you? You're not even here with me. So you have no insightfulness. Lack of body control. I mean, I think all that's just like, you're just stuck on the couch kind of thing. Increased lubrication because it helps to balance out the hormones, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I like this. I don't feel like this one slide is do or die. I think that it just kind of gives you some idea where it can go. But there used to be this these studies, I guess, that said that cannabis can decrease the sperm content or the sperm in men, and there's been more studies now that say it's actually not true, and a couple of other studies that say it actually could increase. So I've always wondered if those studies were done on healthy biological males that were, what else were they doing? Do they have high blood pressure? Were they drinking alcohol? Like, what else have they done? So that's not really a thing anymore in today's medical world. And you're a nurse, so maybe you can add to that. But the studies have sort of proved that to not be accurate.
Yeah, I know a lot of studies are focusing now on cannabinoids and infertility, and that's a huge, maybe that might be a really good topic. That's one that's near and dear to my heart because, of course, Nathan and I, that's the reason why we do not have a family right now, children of our own, I should say. So yeah, it's amazing that they're really linking endocannabinoid deficiency to infertility.
Right. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense to me because oftentimes there's hormonal issues that prevent a woman from getting pregnant, and they just stop there. They just say, oh, well, your hormones are off and you can't get pregnant, and your only other option is like in vitro, right? Or fertility injections and hormones, instead of, okay, but why are my hormones imbalanced? Like, okay, why are they? And so I think endogenous cannabinoid deficiency is certainly worth looking into as a cause.
Yeah, and even too, for like Nathan and I know we were diagnosed with unexplained infertility. So they didn't have a reason why. So I'm curious, you know what I mean? If I would have had access to medical cannabis years ago, if that would have made a difference for us as well. Like, so that's always a thought in my head, wondering, if that would have helped.
Right.
Because not knowing, we're the 1% of the 1%, the very small percentage. I'm so curious if they will link unexplained infertility to endocannabinoid deficiency. So time will tell, but
right.
I'm very curious.
Well, think about this without throwing all your business out here in the street. Think about this as another thing that has been linked to endogenous cannabinoid deficiency is migraines. Migraines that you've already explored and eliminated the reasons. Like, lots of neurologists will make you go have an MRI before they give you migraine med because they want to make sure there's not another reason. So if migraines are being linked, like Dr. Ethan Rousseau did a lot of research on this, if migraines are being linked to an endogenous cannabinoid deficiency, I mean, why wouldn't infertility? They're both hormones. And
Yep.
I'm here to tell you right now, as a migraine sufferer, a person who gets migraines,
Yes.
I'm here to tell you that they're 100% hormonally triggered.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah,
definitely. So
much
interesting
to think about.
Oh my gosh, I know, Amanda, this has been amazing. It's very enlightening. It's just amazing to me all the things that cannabis can do, and it makes our fight for the legalization for even recreational and, in some states, medical, and just advancing it. So it's just so important to be that voice for those who need it. And I'm excited to be on this journey with you. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too. Me
That's so
too.
fun.
I always look forward to seeing you. So if anybody has any suggestions for our topic in 2 weeks, and Heather can tell you the date because I don't have my calendar. But
June 19th. Yep.
June 19th. Perfect. So if anybody has any
June
suggestions.
9th. June 9th.
That makes a lot more sense.
9th. Sorry about that. Yeah. My slash on the date was, I thought
it looks like a 1.
Yeah, it looked like 1.
Yeah, but if anybody has any suggestions on topics or questions about today, comment here or reach out to either one of us. And both of us have Facebook groups and profiles, so you can find us.
That sounds great. Well, we will see everyone back here in 2 weeks. Again, don't forget to follow our pages. Make sure you follow along so that you get updates when we do go live again. And again, like Amanda said, it was the next live will be on June 9th, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we look forward to seeing you all back with us. And thank you so much. We hope you learned a lot. And we'll be teaching you some more interesting facts in the near future. So we look forward to having you back, and have a good evening. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.